Hey guys, it's me Astrid, and today we've got my mounted orchid station here. I think Cheryl, was it you that said it's like a mounting station? I love whoever made up that name for it. So yes, this is my mounting station. It's a cheap IKEA clothes rack. Excuse me. And I have some 12 gauge wire all bent up, and I've mounted a bunch of orchids. Now someone asked me the other day, hey, how do you water your mounted orchids? Because you have a lot of them, and how do you do it? Well, you can do it in a number of ways. One way is with the spray bottle. Another way is by taking it to the sink. And another way, like I've seen people who have, you know, those sprayers that you usually like use fertilizer or pesticide with. It's like this canister that has a hose coming off of it. Well, you can use that for pumping up water and spraying it straight on your plants if you have a greenhouse or some type of environment where it doesn't matter if the floor gets wet. So there's a number of ways. Now I want to show you a couple ways that I do it, because I know I always feel a lot better when I see people actually doing the thing they're talking about. So I'm going to do that, and I'm also going to show you some wet and dry mounts, and you can see the difference and hear the difference as well. So first let me show you the wet mount. On our mount we have strings holding the orchid sturdy. When you have a mount, you always want to keep it really sturdy. See that? I've really tied it down. It's not going anywhere. And that helps the plant feel stable so it can shoot roots out and grow productively. Then we have sphagnum moss. And sphagnum moss can be layered under the roots and on top of them, or just under them, or just on top of them. It can be piled thin or thick. You just have to see what your environment is like and see the needs of your plant and go based off of that. So for example, if you had a cattleya, you might want to use a medium thick layer of sphagnum moss, but let it dry out regularly. If you have an oncidium, like this one, you might want to pile it up a little bit higher and keep the plant more moist more often. But if you do that, you do run the risk of attracting fungus gnats to your environment. However, anyone who has potted plants and mounted plants is going to have to deal with fungus gnats. It comes with the territory. However, this plant was actually kind of infested with fungus gnats at one point, so I took it all off the mount and I sterilized it. I sprayed it with hydrogen peroxide, I washed it, and I reattached the plant to the mount with a thinner layer of sphagnum moss because that was just too much, and those gnats are nasty. Harmless, but nasty, and I hate them. So yeah, so this plant is actually just watered because I've been trying to record this video a bunch of times, as we all do. And you can see, can you hear? I don't know. But this moss is nice and hydrated, and it's got that soft look, and you can always touch it. When it feels almost dry, that can be when you want to water it. It just depends on your plant. Let's take you to a less dry or a less wet plant. So we've got this plant right here, and this plant is, can you hear that? Crunchy. Also, this is my Oncidium Heaven Sent Redolence, and this one is just throwing roots down like mad. It's really exciting. But to water it, let me just get my spray bottle, because sometimes I'm lazy and I don't want to take them all to my sink, so I just spray them. So let's just go. I spray them 40 times. And 40 is usually enough for this size of mount to get it right, but I mean, that's just an arbitrary number I count to. Did you count 40? I did. So yeah, and if it feels a little dry in some areas, just make sure you get all around the mount. And then here we have a nice, well-hydrated, happy little mount, and that's awesome. So then let's go on over to my sink, and I'll show you how I water my mounts in the sink, because that's also important. And let's go. I like to do this in one shot, so I hope I don't have to edit this. Okay. Alrighty, off we go to my messy situation. Okay, so here we are. We've just got my, woohoo, one-handed, man, one-handed. We've got my yellow Phalaenopsis, and I'm just running the water over this. See, nothing special, nothing to it. You can get the whole plant wet, it doesn't matter, especially being on a mount. If you have your Phalaenopsis hanging downward, it's going to drip all the water off of it. So watch this. Look, I'm getting the crown of the Phalaenopsis wet. Oh my God, you guys, are you panicking? Are you panicking? I am. Just kidding, I'm not. Okay, so now we got all our roots nice and greeny green. Okay. All right, so let's take our camera back and let's take our mount back and I'll show you what's going on. Hold on a sec. Let's get reestablished. I hate editing my videos, so I don't want to edit. I don't want to cut this scene. Okay. You ready? Good. All right, so now that we've got this Phalaenopsis orchid here, it's up, it's mounted. I mounted this specifically so the leaves would hang downward. And now that our roots are nice and green and happy, our moss is nice and moist and drippy, we've just got a happy little plant. And because of how this Phalaenopsis is mounted, it is going to drip the water off and be very happy, and it's going to be just fine. And you can get your mounted orchids wet a lot easier than you can get, you know, let's say your upright Phalaenopsis orchids wet. This guy hangs down. This guy sits up. This guy really doesn't actually collect water in the crown, but he has the possibility to, whereas this guy really, really doesn't. And if you have a fan going in your room because it's warm and it's summertime, it's definitely not going to rot your plant. So, I mean, no guarantees for me. Don't come crying to me if your plant dies because whatever you did to it. But generally with mounts, you don't have to worry about getting most of the plant wet, especially if you mounted it yourself and you mounted it specifically to hang this way. Alright, and now our last considerations. Is mounting really worth it? I think yes. I think absolutely yes, because watering it can be a pain in the butt, but I have this small, maybe it seems giant to some of you and puny to others, but I have what I like to think of as a small home growing setup. I have very few mounted plants. I have these that I have to worry about, and I have 6 others throughout my room. Now, because I only have those, for me to take it to the sink and back is not a big problem. If you had a greenhouse full of them, you'd want some kind of mechanical watering system that you could water them, just spritz them quickly and be done. But for me, in this environment, it's no problem. Even now that it's summer, these mounts tend to dry up in about 1 or 2 days. It's really not that bad. I mean, if you're willing to water a Vanda, you should be willing to be able to take care of a mount properly because it's really, really simple. And as you saw, you can just take your bottle and go psh, 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 which is my favorite. And you can also shoot spiders off your ceiling with the spray bottle. It's awesome. So yeah, mounting, definitely worth it. Takes me about 15 minutes to water my mounts. You just touch them and see if they feel dry or wet. And if they feel dry, take them to the sink. Super easy, super awesome way to keep your orchids. And your orchids will thank you because they're epiphytic in nature. So why not put them in an environment like they would experience in their natural habitat, even if they're a super hybridized orchid. Sneaky little things. Alright, so let me know how you like this video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want. And let me know how you like this camera. This is a different camera that I'm trying out, and I'm trying to see what's going to give me the best setup for YouTube. If you'd be quiet outside. Shoo. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Have a nice day, and I hope this video is very helpful to you. Bye!